This question says the graphs of two functions f of x and g of x are shown. And then it says that g of x equals f of x. It's the same thing, except there's this mysterious h that's added to it. So they want to know, what is h? So let's take a look at these two equations, these two functions that are graphed. If we look at f of x, we can see it starts here at 0, and then it moves up like this. And then g of x is starting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you want to very carefully make sure that you're counting and you're seeing what that correct y-intercept is, and it's 5, and it also moves up in the same way that f of x did. So the difference between these two is just that it slid up 5 units. So what do you have to add to f of x so that it's going to slide up 5 units? Perhaps h is 5. You could put 5 and be done with it, but I would recommend that you take an extra minute and go to the graphing calculator and just make sure. So if we click on calculator when you're taking the test, it's going to take you to this. Now this might look intimidating and different, but it's pretty easy. All you have to do, it's prompting you here, what do you want it to graph? And if we put f of x, and since it was a straight line, we know that it is linear. And linear equations just have an x in it. There's no exponents. Like this is a linear equation, or you could put 2x or 3x. But you see, this looks very similar to what we had seen on that test question. So let's say this is f of x, and you see it's showing us this equation we just graphed is the red line. So we can graph another one by just clicking this plus and saying to add another expression. And let's call this one g of x. And I'm going to say it equals f of x, which we said is 2x. So they're right there on top of each other. Now we can kind of play around, like what if we subtract 5? What would happen? If we click here, we can kind of scroll and look. That red equation, remember it intersected the y-axis at 0, but by subtracting 5, this blue equation, we can see now it moved down 5 to -5. So by subtracting 5, we moved that equation down 5. And that's not what we want to happen. We want it to go up 5. So let's just confirm. We'll change this to plus 5. And again, let's look at the y-axis. It was 0. It was crossing here at 0, and now it's crossing at 5. So in order to slide an equation up 5 units, all we have to do is add 5. So if we go back here to the question, all you have to do here is you just push this button right here for 5, and it will type in a 5 for you, and you move on to the next question.